So Physio Biweekly will come to you with news of the world, news of physio. We're going to talk about advice. We're going to talk about ongoing issues in healthcare. We're going to talk about some cool clinical stuff and the biggest giveaway ever in physio history for our 26th anniversary at Physio. You may not realize this, but the month of October is Occupational Therapy Month, and we are lucky enough to have some wonderful occupational therapists in our organization. Catherine LeMay will tell you a little bit more about occupational therapy. And if you need to hear more, click at the link below and you can hear even more about OT from Catherine.
Okay, so occupational therapy is really a profession that specializes in returning to the activities that mean most to you. So whatever used to occupy your time before an injury, a mental illness, or a cognitive difference, we are able to help you do the things that matter to you. So whether that be going back to school, going back to work, driving, getting out of bed, whatever it is, we're here to hear you out.
So this week, let's talk about what's new in Ontario and Canada in the physiotherapy world. So all of our physiotherapists in Ontario and across the country have to be registered with a regulatory body called the College of Physiotherapists. So here in Ontario, our college is very supportive, and the goal is to set standards and practices and guidelines so that we can practice safely and protect the public and make sure everybody is healthy and well and we are not doing anything unethical. So every month our college gives us a case of the month to review, which is a real-time case about a college complaint that the committee has gone through and investigated. This month's case of the month was about a physiotherapist located in another area of Ontario, and the physiotherapist was billing for what was deemed excessive amounts of physiotherapy hours. So the physiotherapist was working part-time in a clinic with 6 physiotherapy assistants, but was billing for 30 hours worth of physiotherapy care each day. Obviously, the physiotherapist was not able to be with the patients for 30 hours a day, which raised some questions. So during that college investigation, the investigators took a look at the charting and the guidelines and compared them with the standards and practices. The standards they were concerned with was the appropriate supervision of physiotherapy assistants, which is a valid standard. So as a refresher, we can have our assistants work with our patients, but we have to provide adequate supervision. And that supervision doesn't necessarily have to be one-on-one and with them all the time, but we have to ensure that our assistants are trained appropriately and are safe doing things. The physiotherapist has to maintain the assessment, and they have to do all the treatment planning, make all the goals, and then we delegate some of the procedures to our assistant staff. Obviously, if you're dealing with 6 assistants working at one time, it's very difficult to ensure that they are doing an adequate job and that you are treating patients safely and securely all the way through. The other standard that was a bit of an issue is the record keeping standard. So because the physiotherapist is always ultimately responsible for the assessment and reassessment of the patients, setting the treatment plan, doing an appropriate analysis, and looking at those objective outcome measures and making sure that they fit well with the goals of treatment, that all has to be documented. And if the documentation is not adequate, then it's not possible to follow the line of treatment and for a covering physiotherapist to be able to carry on with the treatment plan. And unfortunately, in this case, it found that the charting documentation was not adequate, the analysis was incomplete, it wasn't clear enough to make good goals of treatment. So in these instances, we really need to sit back and reflect on our own practice and think, are we providing adequate supervision to our PTA staff, and are we charting appropriately? So Physio has been very supportive with our physiotherapy staff, and we actually have a quality improvement committee that has started, and we're looking at these exact questions. So we look at our physio's charts, and we look at their caseloads, and we look at the length of treatment, and we review a lot of the charts with the physios, and we have people talk to us and talk to their clinic directors about ongoing care and if care has lasted beyond a certain period of time. So Physio thinks it's really important to provide support to our staff and to make sure that our patients are being treated the best way possible, and to make sure that everything is safe and that we're able to document and that our staff is protected against against any sort of college complaints or any questions. So we do encourage anyone who's not familiar with the program to reach out to myself and we can talk a little bit more about it, or your clinic director. I think all of the clinicians at this point have had a number of chart audits, and we're finding wonderful things. We've had great feedback about the program where people are telling us their charting's never been better, they feel like they're using outcome measures more appropriately, they're keeping up to date on things, they're thinking about what they're doing with their patient care. So we're really trying to support everybody and in keeping with the standards and practice guidelines of the Colleges of Physiotherapists of Ontario. And let's remember that the College of Physiotherapists is there to protect the public and also to protect the physiotherapist. So if something does happen in the clinic where a client is injured working with the PTA or with the physio, then the college is there to make sure that the standards have been followed and that there's no fault of the physio. Part of the college guidelines and the college's support with making sure that the physiotherapists in the province understand all of our standards and practices and resources that are out there is that every 5 years all registered physiotherapists are asked to complete a jurisprudence module online. This jurisprudence module is up for completion again this year, and it is due at the end of December. The college is really great. They understand that it's hard to stay on top of all of the standards and practices, so they do encourage that we get together and we talk about the jurisprudence module. So it's not something that you have to complete on your own. You can work with your colleagues and bounce some ideas back and forth, kind of problem solve your way through. You can also consult with the website and what they have listed as the standards and practices on the website. Ultimately, each physiotherapist does have to complete their own jurisprudence module, but not on their own. So we really welcome groups to get together and clinicians to work together and work through some of these problems and really have an open and honest discussion about your practice. The goal of this is to make sure we all know the appropriate standards and practices and that we're reflecting appropriately on our care for our patients. I know all of the physiotherapists in Ontario are well aware of the challenges that our new grads and our foreign trained physios have faced in the last 2 years since the pandemic began. There is a national exam process, and that national exam process has multiple steps to it and is very complicated. So the first process, which is a written exam, that has been able to continue as per usual. The second portion of getting a full physiotherapy license in Canada, all provinces except Quebec, is that there is a practical exam as well. With the fear of transferring virus and transmitting the COVID virus over the last 1.5 to 2 years, the practical portion of the exams have been cancelled multiple times. The Alliance has tried to come together and find a way to do an online version of the practical exam, but unfortunately it has not been successful, and there have been multiple attempts and failed attempts. So we know that we have a number of clinicians out there that are working with us and are still working under a supervised practice, and we know there's lots of new grads that are really, really anxious to get going in their full careers. We are here to support you. You will get there. The exam will eventually be done, and you can call on your peers and your colleagues to help you study for it, to help you prepare for it. We support you all the way. You will get there. Have patience and have faith. This is an exciting year and an exciting month for Pro Physio. It is our 26th anniversary month. So in honor of our 26 years in business, we are having a huge giveaway. So we're going to be giving away through the month of October every day iPads, HomePods, AirPods, AirTags, gift cards for Apple products. And the biggest giveaway of all will be a free assessment, 26 free assessments throughout the month of November. All you have to do to qualify is like our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and use the hashtag #giftofcare or #ProPhysio26. We will be holding a draw every single day for the month of November, and there will be a free assessment given away every day. All you have to do is tell us the closest Pro Physio location to you, and we will set you up with an assessment, and it will be very convenient because we are literally everywhere in the city of Ottawa.